Sometimes they come in, they're very general and very broad, and the requester doesn't understand the scope and depth of what they've asked for. Sometimes it's 29 bankers boxes. And you got to ask them, do you really want to foot the bill for copying and producing 29 bankers boxes of information? Or do you want to come in and look at it and make copies? Or do you want to try to narrow the request? And in that, and those are kind of questions that I would submit. Does the authority have a FOIA officer? Not yet, or not at all?
We're
Okay,
we're a bit stateless. There's kind of flow of action. We took some steps this morning to change that. We're trying to moment to kind of hang out there. My question was, who would someone write to if they wanted to get documents related to the activities of the authority?
I would submit they could contact anybody who's a member of the authority. And I
Or
would,
they could contact Randy.
Or they
He's
could-
our only staff.
that would, since Randy's the only staff, I would encourage some kind of discussion with Randy to have him do the central, any FOIA that comes in within the same day, let him know. Because you have 5 business days to turn around the response. If it's a simple question, or if it's a simple thing to produce, it's give it over. If there are some questions, maybe it's a personnel file, maybe I could see UNECA having some things that have to do with national security or state security, or maybe even some proprietary information that may be involved. I don't know. Those are things that just pop into my head based on the nature of the business that this authority conducts. It may be that there is an exception to producing something. If there's a concern to producing something, I would certainly raise that with Randy, and we can certainly invite him to contact the FOIA counsel or we can figure it out.
You may have covered this while I was multitasking, but what's the difference between a request for information and a request for information?
Feel that one? What FOIA, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put her on the spot. In all fairness to Kelsey, she has been here about a week. And she's done a very good job of becoming involved, and this is just one of those things we go into. And I will take responsibility for that. She can kick me later. As you rightly point out, there is a distinction between a request for a document and a request for information. FOIA does not require the public body to create anything except perhaps a summary of certain documents, and that's something more particular we could work out with Randy if a request like that came in. With that, can I have information about, and there's X, and there's no document related to the X? The response is simply, it's still a FOIA request. So it's, thank you for your FOIA request dated such and such a date, asking for documents about X or information about X. Under 2.2-3704, is it? I think it's 3704B something. This record does not exist. Thank you. Please let me know if I can need further assistance. And that would be the response. Does that answer your question? Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, I have several questions. First of all, your slide did not say 5 business days, so I'm glad you clarified that. It just said 5 days, I thought. So, but it is 5 business days.
It's 5 working days, yes, sir.
Working business, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, sir.
So if one of us receives a voicemail on a Friday afternoon, and for some reason we don't get that and we don't discover it until Monday, none of those days have gone by yet. Is that
Monday is
correct?
day 1.
Okay. Second thing, during our special meeting that we had in March, I took the meeting minutes and put a bunch of stuff together and sent it to Randy, who promulgated it, and it's in this package, so it's going to be available for the public. But all the writings, all the information put together, I still have in a file. Is that something that I need to keep, so in case somebody wants to see the generated product that comes from that? Okay, good. And then I've been doing that. I've been keeping it electronically and okay, good. Now, if we have a FOIA individual, and this was something I was going to talk to you about, having done this when I worked for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, should we also have Randy and a member of the actual authority be someone to contact, or should it only be the government state employee, should it only be the state employee, or should it actually be a member of the authority?
As a matter of practice, I think that's policy that the authority could set, but as a matter of practice, I would certainly recommend having one central place where everything is kept.
Okay.
And it's in a protected file. If it's kept electronically, then it's back up. And if you want to discuss that more thoroughly, I'm happy to answer any response. We can talk about that some more later, but I would recommend having a central place that has this. That way, if a FOIA request comes in, and say the only other holder, you, is off on vacation for 2 weeks.
I don't take vacation, that won't be an issue, but nonetheless,
Somebody will.
we'll have it all available. I'm not worried about us having it. I just want to ensure that there's a process, a written process in place that if an individual, and it sounds like an individual in the public can call and ask for this via message, not write something. I understand totally to make it easier for the public. So, and then we can have some dialogue with them, can we not? With you or with our council to ensure that they understand the nature of what they've asked for in case it's, as you said, 29 banker's boxes versus just what is it you're looking for, so we get down to what document they want, so we ensure we answer the question that's actually posed. That's something that we can certainly do. And you also made a comment about a quorum, 3 does not make a quorum here. So did I understand you correctly, if there's 3 or more of us sit in a place where we're discussing anything related to the authority's business, then it needs to be considered a meeting?
Correct. That's specific provisions of
Okay,
the act.
that's 3 or more. So if it's 2 or less, we don't.
That's right.
Just trying to make sure I understand, so there's no question.
If I could spin that out a little bit too, okay, let's, Mr. Hoffman and am I saying Leon, is that right, or anyway, are at lunch and they're talking about authority business, and all of a sudden, Mr. Giles just texted me, hey, we're talking about X, boom, you've already hit 3. Even with that, because you guys are at lunch and then Mr. Giles texts about some authority business.
Don't text me here.
That fixes that.
Yeah, I understand, but all we want to do, make sure, as the authority, is that, one, we keep track of everything, as we definitely want the public to be aware of everything that we are doing, but we also want the flexibility to ensure we can conduct enough business to ensure we're successful in the time frames we need to be without violating or any act or any activity that's required by us. So essentially, all I want to do is make sure we get clarity.
Yes, sir. Does that answer your question?
It does, and we will make sure that we're, as I'm sure the chairman will tell you, that we're already keeping track of everything. We're keeping backup files of everything. Randy and I have made sure we have all the stuff we need to, both in a primary location and a secondary location. So everything's available from what business we've already conducted since we came into existence.
Okay.
My question concerns email. I generally, as a rule of thumb, I delete all of my emails that are older than 6 months. Is that acceptable?
In keeping with the practice that Mr. Hoffman brought up, it may be a good idea for authority business to maybe forward that to Randy. And then we have a unified document retention and everything in place. It's very easy to kind of use that. Maybe something that is a suggestion. Each person has a different way of handling mass amounts of information and other things we get today. But maybe it has a VNEC folder, and then every month just forward everything to Randy. Once you confirm receipt, then delete it. Once you know that he has it. That way there's a public record it's kept. He'll have the retention schedule. And I don't know what the retention schedules are off the top of my head, sir, or else I would tell you just hold on to it for 6 years. I think that would make it easier, and that's something we're talking to Randy about to make sure. If he has any questions, he can certainly call me or Kelsey and clear that up. Does that help?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
What's the standard of reasonableness? So, someone is talking, there's no more than a discussion. They don't have the authority to take an action.
Right.
So, if we take a break here, and I happen to talk to Mike and John about something, standing here 20 seconds about, hey, this is coming up, is that a public meeting that has to be limited? Where's this common sense or reasonableness discussion that has to take place?
My advice is always to treat FOIA like a third rail, if you will. It's better not to have it, because what happens is actually, by definition, under the Act, you're having a public meeting at that point, and it has not been advertised to the public. So you are, in fact, in violation of the Act at that point. Now, are the U.S. Marshals going to come storming in?
Right. Surely the court should recognize some barriers.
My understanding is the last time we addressed this was about emails circulating, and I think this is memory serves, the General Assembly tightened it up even after that. So the General Assembly is very serious about this. I would avoid it.
I think our real question is that we act with and on behalf of the public here in Virginia. Our responsibility is to them. We do not intend to do anything that they're not aware of. However, in order to conduct business in an efficient, effective manner and to be servants to them as they expect us to be, we cannot always do everything sitting face to face with each other. The reality is it's doggone difficult to get anything done if we're not meeting almost every month. And currently, we're not structured to meet every month. And we've got a lot done this year already because we met in January, met in March, and now we're meeting again here in April. But the point is, we want to find a way where we're in compliance with FOIA, we're also in compliance with all the activities that the public expect of us, but also can serve them as they would expect us to do so too, in our constituency. And so and I think that's what he's asking about. Marshall and I are both trying to figure out, we're trying to walk that fine line of being efficient and effective and being productive, and not doing so in such a manner as that it appears that we're doing it without the public having view of everything. Every action, every issue we undertake, everything that we will do will be taken at this table in front of the public. Every decision, everything we do. However, the real question is, what can we do in preparing for this discussion without the public? And I think that's the hardest part for us right now, because the vast majority of our work, if not all of it, is all being done here. Unless one of us creates something and then brings it to the table. And then we're not meeting your issue of 3 or more, because just one of us by himself or herself is creating product, bringing it to the table, and then we're discussing and dialoguing and deciding on which way to go forward in front of the public in an announced meeting. And that appears to be the only way we can conduct business. Is that correct?
That would be my recommendation. Now, with that, again, I've never had to advise an authority such as this one, and I appreciate the concerns, and it's an important concern. And I think really what needs to happen is that Randy and I need to discuss that and get Kelsey involved and figure out what we can do and stay within the bounds of the act. Because I appreciate you needing to be a little bit more flexible and nimble than what your current provisions allow for proactive business. At the same time, until something changes out of the board, we see people and discuss it.
And we have done that. Up to this point, we have done nothing except one individual creating product and bringing it to the table here. And we will continue that way until we're advised otherwise that we can do differently at our chairman's behest.
Are there other, thank you very, very much. I would appreciate if you would send the slides out to everybody.
Okay, I'll send it to Randy and then he can distribute it. Will that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, I'm sort of operating by way of